This is CVR World Cup LA. I'm Dr. Chris Haskell.
And I'm Beth York.
And I'm Hunter Allen.
And we've got some of the most exciting bike races live from the StubHub Center in Southern California.
This Velo Center, this velodrome, is the largest in the United States and plays host to USA Cycling. It also brings in international competition from all over the world.
Like the CVR World Cup, we have riders from all around the world competing this weekend for the highest category, the elite category in CVR.
And you know, with more than bragging rights on the line, we have a growing prize purse, and the battles are going to be fierce, and anything can happen.
What are we waiting for? Let's go inside. This is CVR World Cup LA. Well, hello, this is CVR World Cup Los Angeles. That is Beth, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chris Haskell.
Yes, and all the glitz of Hollywood, the glamour of the boulevard, and the collective sweat it takes to earn your star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame right here at CVR World Cup.
No kidding. We can smell the anticipation. Here we are in the Velo Center in Los Angeles. As we discussed in the open, it's the largest in the United States. It's the home to USA Cycling. There are ghosts of greatness that float around this facility.
You can
really
feel
can.
it. You can feel it.
And you can smell it a little bit too. No, I'm kidding. It smells great in here. If you're in the Los Angeles area and you're watching this, you need to come down, StubHub Center, and be a part of this. Stand next to the cyclists and cheer into their ear. Get a little spittle on their cheek. That's okay, too.
Yeah, they like that.
It is, and it's a beautiful day here, of course, in Los Angeles, a beautiful day for racing. And we're rolled out, the red carpet for these riders, as you would in Los Angeles, to give them the opportunity to do this. And we're going to see some races today. How many?
We're going to see 4 races. Now, these races are the preliminaries. They're day 1 of a 2-day event here.
Yeah.
So the racers today are riding for their placement in tomorrow's races. We'll have 4 heats tomorrow. There'll be performance categories and elite categories. So these 4 are going to decide the position, Chris, for tomorrow's 2 heats.
So what do you have to do to get into the elite division, right? The top prize-winning group.
Yeah, so to make it to elite from each of these heats, 2 men's and 2 women's, the top 4 riders will make the elite level for tomorrow in the categories.
Okay, so top 4. So if you're on the podium and the also-ran, you're going to make it to the finals. But it's 10 in each of that races. So I again, quick math.
Yep, it's high math.
2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1. That's 3. Quick math. You've got 4 from one race, 4 from another. That leaves 2 spots.
That's right. So the next way we decide those other 2 riders is the fastest time, the next 2 fastest times for the course completion in the races today.
That makes it so critical that if you find yourself off the back, to not give up, right? You could still make that elite final. You could maybe miss a move, be a strong rider, miss a move, and still make it into the final, but you cannot ever give up. That's a really exciting piece of that.
It is. It's right to the line the whole way. Does it? And you might not know where you are, so everyone's going to be giving it all. So now the racing.
Now, there's a lot of people who are watching. Hi, Mixer. Hi, Facebook. Hi, all these other folks. Even people over on CycleView. Thanks for joining us. If you're like, what is this? Who are these weirdos? Well, that's a fair question. But we'll tell you what this is. It's racing. It's bike racing. Virtually, right? Real bikes, real sweat, real effort, virtual world, virtual courses, right?
And it's esports, really.
It really is esports.
So when we think about esports, for those who are uninitiated, you know, maybe we need a little primer, Chris.
We're talking to you, Mom, right? No, esports is a growing trend. We often describe it as the biggest world you've never heard of. But if you're watching on Mixer, we don't have to explain this to you.
You already
But
know.
if you're a cycling fanatic and you're wondering how this all plays in, well, let's just show you just a little bit about what esports is.
Here's esports.
eSports. We love to play. Since the 1980s, video games and competitive gameplay have been part of our Western culture. The video arcade, the Atari, Nintendo, PlayStation, even PC gaming are all part of this rich cultural lineage of play. We play ourselves, we watch, we even compete. What makes an esport? Well, any individual or team game that can be played on a level playing field in competition, whether that's live or online.
Still alive! Charm's gonna land onto him! Is he gonna be able to walk away? Baker is still running! Still damaging! And another time! And expansion goes down!
While there are half a dozen top-tier esports, more than 100 different titles are being played competitively around the world. Esports break all boundaries. They're played by men and women across cultures and can be played on consoles, PCs, and even mobile devices. Esports are truly a world sport. Over the last decade, we've seen interest, broadcasting, and live events eclipse those of their traditional sport counterparts. Esports are a massive draw. We love to watch them live, and we love to watch them stream. For people under 30, video games are the most popular media industry in the world, more popular than television, music, or movies. But competitive video game play is not just something we do, it's something we watch. In 2016, more people watched the League of Legends Championships than the World Series, the NBA Championships, or the Stanley Cup playoffs. That makes the top 3 sporting events in the world the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and a video game competition. Esports are the sport of the rising generation. Talented players, broadcasters, and managers are filling every level from professional, now to collegiate, high school, and even Pee-wee. To many, esports is the biggest world they've never heard of. But to millennials, it's the future of competition, of broadcasting, and of sport. But not the distant future, the future of today. This is esports.
Okay, so that's esports.
That's right.
But how did we get here? How did these folks get here? How did that lady, Carrie Conabear, right there on station number 1, how did she get into this race, Beth?
Well, she is one of the zone winners. So
Yes,
there was a league, and the league races all fed into today's major event. And there were 8 races. The best 6 of those races counted towards your points. And the bracket winners of the A bracket, those all earned an invite here today for the elite racers. But there's another way.
Yes.
There's another way.
There is another way. Well, training. Training was a big part of this.
Yep.
And some folks participated in a very specific training program that allowed them to participate, to qualify for this a little bit.
And you know what I really love about the training program
What's that?
is that anybody could do it.
Yes.
It's so accessible. You sign up for the training program. You had a chance to come here a few days early, train with Hunter and Peaks Coaching and Hunter Allen. It was an amazing opportunity, and it was because they stuck to their training plan. They produced results over time through their training plan, and they were selected randomly through drawing. To actually be here today. So anyone can come to CVR World Cup.
And they came together actually this week for a physical camp, right? Which for virtual cyclists is an interesting thing.
Touch each other. We're going to ride close together. We're going to touch wheels. We're
Okay.
And you can see that they were working on the handling skills and all of these things. I mean, this is real. This is like a legit, real camp. And some of these racers that we're going to see today came from camp, and they saw a lot of improvement.
They did.
So they're going to give some of these elite bracket winners a run for their money.
Well, and they're strong individual cyclists in and of themselves, but may have never been given a chance to race. I mean, as we know, here we're in the World Training Center, or the USA Training Center for USA Cycling.
Yep.
And cycling, as we've been talking about with some of these folks here, is a really interesting thing that if you come to early in your life, you have the chance to excel. But if you come to it later, what's the structure? This camp was the structure. And there are folks who are watching who are like, I actually am pretty talented at this, but I never did it as a youth. I never did it in college.
Right.
These folks are here because they're strong and they're racing against pros, former pros, and really high-level athletes.
Yeah, and we're actually getting about 4 minutes, I think, to the gate drop. So we have to really let people know who these riders are.
All right. First race, heat number 1. Let's tell you a little about these women who are going to be racing in this first CVR qualifier race. Now, Carrie Conover.
Oh, Carrie has been in London. She's been in Paris. She is a veteran of CVR.
No kidding. And we'll tell you once it gets going, may be one of the strongest, most compelling stories here today. Allison Kubota. Kubota is at station number 2. She is an experienced Dr. Kubota.
She is.
Right, in chemical engineering and material sciences. She is maybe one of the smartest, most savvy racers out here.
And she likes ducks, I understand.
We'll talk about her ducks.
Well, we'll talk about her ducks. You have to.
In the third position, Katie Pothier, who is a really strong rider. Excellent climber from Team PTZ. She has done 4 Ironman races. She has more than enough stamina. But can she match the surges in this one?
And she was in the training camp too.
Yes,
so this is one of our invites from the training camp. And number 4, Esther Meisels. Oh, Esther. So she also was in Paris. Strong semi-pro rider. Just came off of a tour in Europe, I understand, last year. So she's going to be one to watch.
Also known for having the best flowy hair.
Yes,
when
the
fan hits her,
fan kicks
she
on.
has the best flowy hair out there. Esther, of course, is there.
I'm more worried about those legs, though. She's got she's got some legs.
Oh, no kidding. She's smuggling some hams in those for sure.
She's a strong one. We also have Catherine Fortier, and Catherine is also, I think, one to watch.
Yes, she is.
Yeah, so she's got a ranking up there, but from Canada, and watched
those sneaky
her.
Canadians.
I was watching her warm up and doing some riding yesterday, and she's going to be one to watch.
Position 6 is England Red, right? And we're excited to see her from Norway. She is a really, really strong team, Fearless. We'll talk about the teams as we get going here and how they may play into this, because we definitely have a few teammates represented here, but not necessarily all teams. So England is going to do a really nice job. Not England, but England.
That's right.
So.
England Red. We can't. I'm trying to do the local pronunciation for her name, and she let me off the hook. She let me off the hook.
Inga Jansen, who got on a plane and got here. And we'll talk about why that's special a little bit later as well.
Yes, Inga Jansen here from the Netherlands, a Team Vixen, Velocity Vixen rider, and 28 years old. She also was in Paris. So she's we're gonna be seeing
unbelievably strong. People are seeing on her card right there, she was second in the Dutch Zwift Nationals. If you are the second in any country, you're pretty dang good.
And then Athena Paduvis, and she is one to watch. She came through the training camp. I think we're going to see a lot of fireworks from her today.
It'll be interesting to see what she brings out today, but tomorrow she definitely is the rider of advantage on the climbs. She is a small little human and a powerful little human. I mean, she's like this little nuclear battery of awesome.
She's fierce. She's fierce. And then we have Jessica York. Now, Jessica York, also a Vixen rider, and she was part of the training band that got invited, and she is Knight of Sufferlandria. I always have a hard time saying that, but that is a 12-hour ride. She's an endurance cyclist. She is amazing.
Yeah, she is, and she's done a ton. She's been at the other events before.
She was
and of
in
course,
Paris as well.
Laura Conway, she's in that 10th position. She is one tough athlete as well. Escaped from Alcatraz triathlon. She's super tough. Also comes from the training category here, so we're really interested to see what she brings. There are a lot of folks who these experienced riders, like Esther Meisels, for example, they don't know what to think of these folks. Do I need to worry about her? What's her savvy? All right, we see right here. Okay, so if you're just joining us for the first time, let us tell you what you're going to see. So we've got Carrie Conabear right there in frame. We've got Allison. Whenever you see the change in rider, you'll see the change in rider perspective. We're always going to be looking at this from their point of view.
To the gate drop. 10
and
seconds
here we go.
away.
The important beginning here is so important. You cannot win the race in the opening kilometer, but you can most certainly lose it. Thank you for joining us here on Mixer. We're excited to provide you some of this info. And here they go. The gate drops, and you can see Katie knows where she needs to be at the front of this race. Definitely wants to get out there. A little bit of a gap. This can be concerning because you don't really want to go this hard, but she has decided she's going to drop 500 watts and show everybody that she is here to play. Maybe it's a concern of hers that she doesn't want to get dropped off the back here, but we'll see a little bit of leapfrog here at the beginning until this settles in. Now, Beth, what's going to happen here is they're going to kick down this opening ramp here, and almost immediately they're going to throw into a really tricky, difficult climb. And you see we've got one rider off the front there just a little bit, not enough distance to really make a difference at this point, but likely something that can just be a point of pain to pull back right there.
That's right.
Allison who's digging a pretty steady pace there.
Yeah, Allison says, I'm not going to take any chances.
No.
I'm getting right to the hill. So the interesting thing about the hilly course today is that right out of the gate, we know these starts are always fast.
Yes.
They're always fast and furious. You could hear those trainers spinning up before they even left the station, and we heard the cheers. And then they come under this bridge, and they start to do a little bit of a climb. But this is one of those climbs that it kind of sneaks up on you. It does roll a little bit.
Yep.
But if you miss the first group out of the gate, to your point, you're just gonna be in a world of hurt because this hill is gonna open that gap up even further. So if you miss the lead group and you don't get it on the climb, you're already back.
That's right. If you're playing our at-home version of CVR World Cup Bingo, you're going to hear that line a lot.
Psycho fantasy.
Right. You're going to hear that line a lot. I think that's B4. If you can't lose it, win it in the first kilometer, but you can certainly lose it. All right, Jessica putting herself on the front here. She is one of these folks who likes to hedge her bet at the beginning of climb. She gets to the front of the group so that if there's anything that needs to be made up, she can, into that group, she can be there. She is just kind of tapping it out, making sure that she does her climb right here. She wants to be in a good position. We see her sitting in that, currently in that 10th position right now. But as we jump forward into the front of the group.
Let's see Kubota now. What did she, did she maintain that front position? We'd love to see Allison's avatar.
There she is. Right
okay.
There. Okay.
So she's in position 1 right now. She's holding it. Doesn't look like she's got a gap. She's got Katie with her, and they're kind of staying together. Esther's just 1 second back, but right now in that climb, those little things are going to happen. There's going to be a little bit of breathing. 1 second, or 2 seconds isn't going to be a huge thing, but you can get sneaky on this climb.
You can. Now, this is not the only time that they're going to come up this climb, so maybe we're not seeing everything that they've got. Really, you just don't want to get separated. There's Esther showing why she is so intense here. She chooses the higher cadence. Think of it as taking smaller bites of a bigger, puzzle here.
Yep.
And so she's got to keep that tempo up. The danger is that your heart rate can get pretty high, and right now she's kicking it at 186 beats per minute, which I don't care who you are, is a lot of discomfort. Now we see these other riders in the group who are making sure that they're right in there. They never want to let anyone get away.
Let me tell you, the intensity right now with these riders this early. We are 3 minutes into the race, Chris. Look at these faces.
Yes.
Right?
And it's a hill, too. I mean, you don't have much of a choice. You have to get somewhat intense on that hill.
Yeah. But, I mean, these are sometimes, we see people out of the saddle already. We see these heart rates climbing. These ladies came to play.
Absolutely.
They are like bringing it. Now, they've got to come around. This is 3 laps, as you mentioned.
Right.
This is not an easy time. They're going to come around.
This is really interesting. Esther on the front here. She took that opportunity as it flattened out on the top to try to bring her speed up to where it needs to be so that she can be the first over. Now, this is not a permanent escape move. She doesn't want to ride this together. Confetti flies. Of course it should. That was the fastest time you've been up this climb in 30 days, my friend. So she's going to continue to push forward here. What she wants is, as it takes them a little bit longer to crest the hill, even if it's 2 to 3 seconds, if she can increase her speed here, she can find herself with a huge gap, right? They can only go, 20 kilometers an hour, but she's kicking it up to 44 right now as she starts to go downhill. But
here
she's
they
not going to
come.
be alone.
She's not going to be
but
alone.
This is the danger. The question we have to ask ourselves is Carrie Conabare in this group. Last year, she found herself in the gap. She found herself in a chase right there. She has got to close this right now. We'll tell you about the histrionics here in just a little bit. But
she's
this
3 or 4 seconds back right now from that group, and that only expands. That expands as they crest over the hill, and those riders gain up speed. So she's
now. Here's the good news, right? She can island hop here. She's got someone who's just in front of her. She gets a little bit of aerodynamic advantage as she pushes to the next rider in this group. Allison in the catbird seat, as it were, being able to pull this back. She's not doing too much work right now, but as a unbelievable strong Catherine trying to catch on to this group finds herself off the front. Actually, she tried to catch on and she slingshotted past.
She did.
She's in the right group.
So top 4 right now. We've got Kubota. We've got Jansen. We've got Measles, and is Paudier in there too?
It appears. It appears she is in that top 5.
Yeah.
And boy, that is not what we would expect. Inga Jansen making this group sitting in that second position right now. But Carrie Conabare is the one that we're worried about here. The time to close that gap, sister, is now. She's got to make sure that she does that. And she finds herself, there's Katie right there trying to catch on to the back there, sitting in 5th position, but she's got just a few seconds. Carrie Conabare is right behind her, closing that gap just a few meters back there, and Carrie doing what she can. The nice thing is she's got a couple of strong riders around her ready to pounce as well. But that group of 4 at the front is a dangerous group, a group that's got Allison in it.
And it's a dangerous group, but that chase group that's forming is only 4 seconds back.
If
they work together, they can probably close that gap. It's early in the race. It's early in the race, but they're going to have to maybe work together. But right now they're duking it out. Right now they don't want to cover. They want to get themselves back to that lead group.
No kidding, absolutely. And boy, Katie doing a really nice job to pull up. But once that group becomes 5, they become more aerodynamically efficient.
Yep.
We'll save the science lesson for a little bit later, those of you who are on Mixer. I'm not saying that Mixer viewers are, I'm just saying that maybe they don't know the science behind it. We'll throw that in.
Well, there's
later.
algorithms in math.
That's right.
That's just it's.
Most of our Mixer friends know 2 plus 2 is 4 minus 1. That's 3 quick maths. Right.
I have a feeling that many people know more algorithm stuff than me, but with pertaining to the game, we'll help everyone understand how these dynamics work. So now, right now, we are watching Athena.
Okay. Now you'll notice that she is chasing, the riders of note there. She wants to definitely get on that Conabare group, which is directly in front of her as Conabare continues to close this down. This descent right now is going to lead into kind of a little bit of a roller section as we come through what's known as Sprint Town, and then there's another short, punchy climb where lots of interesting things can happen. Now, we remember, but maybe some of the viewers don't, Carrie Conabare in Paris found herself. She's one of the strongest riders in the group, and we find her now comfortably nestled in the bosom of this group here, as she should be, warm, comforting, happy.
The story with her too is that she ended up doing the performance category, definitely an elite class
Absolutely,
rider.
elite class athlete.
And what was fascinating was that she just dropped the hammer on all 3 stages in Paris. So she just kind of showed who she was by just dominating.
She did. So we know she's a world class group. She deserves to be in this final. But last year she found herself at the hot start on the wrong side of the gap, and it was 2 seconds at first. No one panicked. It was 3 seconds. It got a little bit scarier. When that thing grew to 10 seconds, Carrie had to make the decision, I have to go now. And so she did. She tried to bridge that 10-second gap herself, which is a long gap to go solo. She fought for almost a full lap as those other riders kept attacking each other over the top, going harder and harder. And she got within 2 seconds of that group, and then her legs could give no more, right? She spent everything she had to try to catch on to that group and found herself on the wrong side of some really strong riders. The danger, of course, is that if you are in that position, there's nothing you can do.
Right.
5 strong riders are faster than you. I don't care who you are. You could be Kristen Armstrong.
And that's the lesson I think that everyone's taking away. Sort of is that they know they need to make. So we're going to see some hot starts all day long. We're going to see some massive efforts on those hills. I mean, we saw some it was a sprint out of the gate with these riders. So then they're sprinting out of the gate. They've got this hill, and then they've got go around 3 times. So we're going to see how this fatigue settles in, and at one point we'll check in with Hunter a little bit to talk about those matches that we have to burn, like how much room they have, how many times they can put forth that effort. But look at Laura Conway here. We've got England working hard, and it looks like we're separated into a couple groups here. We've got the Conabear, the Jansen, the Meisels off of the front here, all really still, they're still like working hard. 3.7, 3.9 watts per kilogram. So it'll be interesting to see, if they can keep that pace up and still punch the hills. All of these riders, world class. Chasing that. Just a few seconds back, 10 seconds back, is Athena and Red, and it'll be interesting if they can work together to try to pull it up and make this top 5 even more exciting. It's
so true. Athena trying to catch on there as they come through Sprint Town here. A little sprint of note, but I don't think we're going to see many fireworks here.
Nope.
Folks who are watching from all over the place are chiming in. Crimson Wolf on Mixer asked a very specific question: why do they all look so angry? Beth, why do they look so angry?
Well, I can tell you from my point of view, when I'm sitting in there, you're focused and you're in pain.
Yes.
And that might come across as anger, but you'll look at some of these riders and you will see different looks of anger and pain.
Mm-hmm.
But it is irritating because you're mad that it hurts so bad.
It's so true.
It's self-inflicted suffering, and it's and it's kind of the face. There are some people who suffer with smiles on their faces, and there are some people who suffer angry.
You know what? And I think the best way to describe it is, when you see a face like that, that girl is Uckers, right? That is exactly what it is. Everyday cats on the block. Now, Jessica York settling in here. She knows what her race is. She knows what she wants to perform at, and she is focused entirely on delivering that right now. You see at the bottom of that, you see her overall heart rate. The green is comfortable. The red is painful, and when we've got it on her screen like that, we can see Allison is
smiling.
Really digging.
Yeah, I think we see
Absolutely.
some smiling. So now, we've got a lot of people here in the arena cheering on. Yeah, she's got a gap now. She's got. Oh, just 1 second on Meisels. Yeah, just one.
But
2
you know what?
on. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, but if you punch that like we just came up that hill there. We were talking when it happened. You've got to be able to put your power into that uphill, and that is what is going to happen there.
Well, you roll through the S's, and these are another chance for people to get sneaky, right? This is a little spot where people can kind of give you a little bit of pain,
right?
Test your legs a little bit, see what you've got, and open up the gap. And it looks like that's starting to happen a little bit here.
Absolutely, and some in the gaming community often we call it C9ing, and you cannot find yourself slipping like off the point here. They have to stay together as a group. If you move back and get off that group, you're going to be doing way too much work. You just do end up way too much work. So we've got Esther right here. She's starting to settle into a groove here. You see her heart rate still really, really high. This is the time when you want to try to recover a little bit. But Allison threw them all into a panic by pushing it so hard on there.
She did. She enjoyed it, too.
Yeah.
That smile on her face was like I don't know, she's got something up her sleeve there. But we've got this tight group there. They did a rubber band a little bit and start to open up 1 or 2 seconds. But, you can see that we still have Jansen and Kubota and Conabear. And so we've got like the same sort of 5 group here. And I think we're going to kind of like see these little maybe mini attacks, right? We're going to see some of these.
So.
This is where it's all on the line. There's not going to be any conservation for tomorrow's race right here. These guys are battling for position.
Yeah, because honestly, if they don't do everything, they don't empty their tank today. There's no chance for tomorrow because there are enough strong riders in here that you can be off the back. And as we see some of the coaching that's happening here, Jesper Anker, who is also a strong commentator in the virtual cycling world, of course, a European man himself, over here in Los Angeles today. Inga makes this group. Okay, so I think we ought to just do a little inventory here. Who is in the group and what skills did they bring with them? Inga Jansen,
she's got quite a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
She's got quite a sprint. She's can mash a lot of the watts. She's stuck with this group out of the gate, which wasn't on the flat. That would have been no problem for her. But on the hill, I know she doesn't have the same advantage as the Meisels or the a little bit lighter riders. But she's stuck with the lead group. We have Catherine Fortier here now. Catherine, she's a relative newcomer. She came through the camp, and she's fighting to try to close that gap back up. She's
here's the time to do it. So when's the time to close the gap, Beth? What? The answer is now.
Yeah,
the
right.
answer
Yeah,
is always now.
Always now.
Yeah, exactly. If you're not
I thought
sure,
you were giving me a trick question.
No,
Chris.
no, no,
I'm
no.
like,
When you
no.
close the gap, the time to close the gap is now.
That's right.
But you know what? If she can just save just a little bit of her heart rate, she grabs some drink right here. The time to really do it is, and there we see with the cyclogen, we see who's in that opening group, and we love this shot. We love to see it every once in a while. Carrie, Inga, Allison, Esther, and Katie in that group. That is potentially your top 5. Now, there's another heat that's coming up at the end of the day today, which you're racing in, which could determine. So only 4 spots of those top groups are guaranteed. They're 15 seconds back to Catherine, who is in the next spot there. And she can cover that 15 seconds as they hit the hill up here. We start to see the cadence change a little bit. Catherine doing a nice job of just kind of focusing her attention. She is the one to watch at this point. Who is going to – can she catch the group again?
Well, so right now she finds herself – this happens a lot when you're racing. You find yourself between 2 groups. So she's got the front
No
group.
man's land.
Right, and they're gaining speed. They've got a little bit of the draft. They're going faster. And then you've got a group behind her. So it's interesting here. So she's got 18 seconds on the lead group, but she's 11 seconds ahead of the group behind her. So so I always kind of like, what do you do when you're in that position? What do you think? Do you think
you have to
drop
take
back?
inventory of who's behind you and how serious is this group. Because if you think that the best racers are in front of you, then you have to catch them.
Yep.
If you think that there are some really strong allies behind you that have an interest in pulling it back, because you don't want them on the same team.
Yep.
You don't want somebody up the road on Team Awesome and also behind you on Team Awesome.
Yeah.
Team Awesome is not going to help you catch their teammate.
No.
But in this case, I think you have to go now. But I think you have to go in the first part of this hill.
Yeah, and now we're coming back again for lap number 2 here.
Okay.
2 of 3 laps. Now, we saw the first 6 minutes of this race was so hot.
Absolutely.
So fast. So
Now, look at Allison's eyes. So a moment ago, we saw Allison's eyes glancing over to her, as we see it, the left, but that's her right. She's looking at those gaps and those power numbers. Below each person's name is how many watts per kilo they're putting out. That's a relative effort indicator. And so she is making sure that she is matching. This is her PhD. This is her savvy, right? Chemical engineering is her PhD, but one of the chemicals that she definitely knows how to manage is heart, is grit. And so she's looking at that sweat, right? What is the chemical compound for sweat? We'll bring it up to you. Hey, chat room, tell us what the chemical compound for sweat is. Give us the formula.
So now we see this group. We still got these 3 ladies together here. Now, when you're coming up on the second time, you know you still have one more time. You can't.
Yes.
You still can't let these women go away. And you were talking about watts per kilogram. So in the math, in the algorithms of the game, your higher watts per kilogram is going to move faster up the hill. So it's just a weight proportion to your power. So and there's this slight advantage, as we talked about, with some of the smaller riders. But all of these riders are putting out some big numbers between 4 and 4.5 watts per kilogram. You know, they've got 15 minutes in a race at threshold already.
Yes.
So this is where they're really starting to feel it. How many matches have they burned? How much have they spent? But they've got to get over this hill together. Now, Allison right now looks like she and Jansen are together. She, Jansen, and Meisels, and Connemare just 1 second back. Nothing to worry about. Connemare going to be right there with them. And still, Catherine Fortier, 11 seconds back. So I think she's still.
She's doing her best to catch on to the group. And she can see that group up ahead. She's actually closed down quite a bit on the last few of those riders. Katie Pothier in that group still.
She is. She's going to do it, though. Don't give up, Katie. She's got this.
Oh, and you can see the look on her face as she cracks.
She's like,
she can do
hurting.
no more. All right. Oh, Carrie, look at her. She's giving everything she's got. She knows that, sometimes the longest distance in the world is 4 meters to the wheel in front of you. But if you can, again, nestle in the soft bosom of that group, you don't have to do nearly as much work. You get the draft effect, just like you would in NASCAR or in competitive nacho eating. That may not be a thing. But
it is now.
The draft effect in chili cook-off is a
you want to be far, far away.
Let's come back and
bringing it back.
The sophomoric. Okay. So, but she's right in that group. Inga doing everything she can to stay tight in that group as well. Right on the wheel. Now, you'll notice a similarity in jersey color between Inga and, of course, Carrie. Now, she drifts off the front here. Hopefully this is not, as she sits up here, that was not an intention. She comes back a little bit. She wants to be near the front, but not on it. Carrie swings by her there and comes to the front of this. But again, they're not trying to get away here. Carrie just made sure she had enough momentum to catch the group on this slight downhill, and because of it, drifted by. That's not an attack. That is just oh my gosh, I'm just grateful to be here. I'm going to put just enough over the top so my speed catches onto this group. Now, for people who are watching this who may not understand exactly what this is, these folks are on real bikes with real effort, and those bike trainers adjust based on the power.
Right. All of our riders are on all the same Cyclops trainers. Mm-hmm. So Cyclops did a spin down and calibration earlier today, so they've all been calibrated. All of our athletes have been weighed in.
Yep.
So the playing field is level today.
Yes,
it's a level playing field. You know, everyone shows up for race day and they bring what they've got here. And when you're racing at home and you're in your basement, you a lot of experienced racers here. You know, and they show up here today and they bring it. Like these are racers that came prepared. They came through the training program. They came, by earning it through the bracket A zone winners. Yeah. And they feel the gradients of the road. So when we hit those hills, it's not just like, oh, they have to give more power. The trainer, the smart trainers that they're on, can feel those gradients. They feel it. It eases off when you go down the hill. So you have to actually even add more power. You have to be engaged with the ride. You're shifting your bike. You're doing all of these things that is real cycling, but they're not rolling on a bike.
Yeah, now they're descending a little bit downhill here, and I'm afraid that gap is going to grow to the group. Now, as we look at the Cyclogen technology brings us an amazing overview, which shows us what this course looks like and where people are sitting.
Let's have a look at the telemetry. We can take a look at the telemetry, because if you're watching this on cycloview.CVR World Cup, this is one of the screens that you can see. Not only can you see one of these screens, but you also can click on the pull-down menus of each of these riders. So if you have a favorite and we're not talking about it, you can kind of go ahead yourself and take a look in the pull down and see where they are. So you can see the lead group.
Also, if you are a fan of Katie here and you know that she's only 15, 16 seconds behind and you really want her, you can actually chime in and cheer for her on the CycleView app, cycleview.cvrworldcup.com.
And you'll see that on their rider station. So she will see you cheering for her.
You can kick in a buck. She'll cheer. You'll see that cheer on her rider station, and she gets half that buck, and the other half it goes into the prize pool for the winner of this event.
So if you think about that, you are contributing to the success of this rider from a motivation standpoint, and also you're growing the prize pool for your specific rider and for the riders as a whole.
Now, if you're new to this, and lots of folks on Mixer are watching today, it's exciting to see such a huge community there. But this is a real sport and e-sport simultaneously. Real riders, real sweat, real bikes in a virtual world, and the Cyclops trainers allow them to do that, right? It not only measures their power and translates it into an avatar, but it sends the resistance back based on where they are on the road.
They do, and there are other ways to ride on Zwift with a power meter, and I know right now that also our riders have power tap pedals. So there are power tap pedals in the peloton here that are also taking a measure of the power, but that's not controlling the trainer.
No.
That's just cross-referencing the power. But the Cyclops trainers have a power meter built right into them, so they are reading, and that's, again, translating to the watts per kilogram that actually translates into speed as you move through the world. Now, here's Catherine Fortier. Her gap to that front group is to the chase group, rather. It looks like Athena and her are together now in the chase group.
And that's what you want. You need an ally, someone to just take the wind off your nose, your virtual nose in this case, and just give you a little bit of an advantage in between. And that's neat.
That's right. But that gap from that lead group has opened up to a minute 15, minute 16 here. So those two riders, they have to work together. They have to work together. We've got 6 riders in the front, or excuse me, 5, I think, in the front, and then the 2 coming up together. There's still one more lap to go, but they're going to have to really start busting it now
Yep.
in order and working together, because these guys have some speed. They're strong riders. Carrie was smiling.
Carrie pulls up to the team car there, and she grabs her bottle of water, make sure she's got that, which is nice. Inga in that lead group. Now, we've got 2 teammates with Team Velocity Vixens in that group together, and this is a dangerous thing if you're Esther Meisels, if you are Allison Kubota, because 2 people are stronger than 1. There we go, quick maths again. And they can play some tricks on these folks. They can use some advantage here. What types of things could they do?
Well, I mean, if you've got the top 4 here and you're protected, one person can kind of be testing the legs of the other. You can be covering for if you cover those gaps if someone attacks and conserve. And you can kind of be cagey. You can be a little bit. You can a little bit. I don't want to give away any team tactics that I may or may not know. But it is dangerous when you're riding. If you're not the team rider, you have to figure out how you can use those 2 team riders to your advantage. So if you are Meisels, you're paying attention. Hawkeye on the right-hand side of the screen. You are Hawkeye now.
Katie is chasing this group. She's really, really close to them. Now, what's important here, as we mentioned before, that 4 riders from this heat will automatically advance. 4 riders from the final heat of women's today will automatically advance. That leaves 2 spots in the 10 who will race in the elite bracket tomorrow.
She may not be in the lead group, but she may make the elite if her time is close enough. So she has to never stop fighting.
Especially as this group has really taken the edge off of this pace. She's only a few seconds behind now. She could catch them on this hill. Will Allison do what she has done previously, which is to dig a little bit harder and to put these girls in a spot of bother, maybe try to get a little bit of a separation? My guess is no, because they're about a little more than halfway done now. They're going to go up this climb one more time, and that's maybe the opportunity she's got. Maybe she's saving a little energy. Allison does look fatigued, but that is part of her strategy. She wants you to think that she's there, but I'm pretty sure that she is maybe a T1000, and yes, she is.
Yes.
Here from the future to kill Sarah Connor, but until then, she's going to race her bike. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, she puts in a big dig on this climb.
You see Carrie's numbers there saying, oh, no, you don't. She's dipping into the red.
That's right.
She's bringing it right back. She's like, no, not going to catch me sleeping. Now, this is interesting because these are the top 4 riders.
Yes.
They have it. If they come through, if this order stays the same. But, like Kubota saying, Allison's saying, no. I'm not going to just ride this till they finish. I'm going to show you ladies what I've got, and I'm going to break away.
Carrie very smartly here says, hold on. I'm not the one who's going to pull this back. I'm going to let Esther, who may want to be at the front of this group, go. Now, this is where a team can overthink this, because if you let a rider go, right, you assume that the rider, in this case in the blue, Esther, is going to do the work to pull her back. But if Esther says, no, this is a prelim and I'm going to qualify, so I'm not worried about it, and decides not to pull her back, then you let her go and you take the win here. When you were capable of doing it, maybe it doesn't matter at this point because they're all back together, but it is one of those situations where riders can overthink the situation. One of the strategies that you were starting to mention, but then you clammed up because you know stuff, Beth York, because you are a member of Team Velocity Vixens, is that, and I'll tell the folks at home, and thank you, Mixer, this is not the Fortnite bus. You are correct. But what we've got here is 4 riders, 2 of them on the same team. 2 of them are not teammates, but they may be de facto teammates today. One of the things that Velocity Vixens can do is they can set false tempos. They can set attacks here. Now, why would you want to do that? So rider A decides that they're going to go really, really hard off the front, and they get a 2 or 3 second gap. This forces the other riders like Esther Meisels there, who you see in the blue with the teammates watching there, friends and teammates tuned in here. She may decide that she needs to chase that rider down. Well, the other teammate sits nicely on her wheel, lets Esther pull her with a little bit less air friction, even in the virtual world, back to that rider. And as soon as they get there, boom, attacks right over the top, forcing them to do it again. You continue to attack, that's the word that we use in the cycling world, right, to push the tempo on the front, forcing them to respond each time. The difference is if you're the blue rider, you have to respond every time. But if you're the red rider, you take turns.
And you take a little turn.
That's right.
Breathing. Now they're coming down Ocean, the lead group. is going to be coming for their third and final lap.
Yes.
So if you're in that lead group and you're looking, and attacks aside, you know, right now they have about a minute or so on. They only have like 19 seconds, sorry, on Katie, but they have about a minute on the next group. So Katie still has to keep pushing.
Yep.
So those top 4 are going to be in it.
Now,
unless they close it, because
yes.
that could
Right.
happen. Katie could come up and give them a run, and that 5th person might not have the fastest time, so they shouldn't be relaxing.
Now, as we look at the telemetry here in just a moment, we're going to see how these gaps have grown and the power of a group like this. You're wondering, why are we talking so much about why this group is so important? And why is Katie doing such an amazing job? She is almost to them. They're about to hit this climb again for the last time. Allison, Carrie, Inga, and Esther, all in that group. Hey, if you're on one of these social media properties or you're watching on cycleview.cvr.worldcup.com, tell us who you think is going to win this.
That's right. Give these ladies a cheer. You know, I think you should give them a cheer. They're coming around on their last lap. Now, Katie's going to be interesting because, as you mentioned, triathlete, right? So she's used to time trialing. She's in her comfort zone. She's in her comfort zone. So, you know, some of those riders in the front, they're tacking and easing back, and, you know, she just is like the little train that's just going to keep on, not going to let them get too far away. She's done an awesome job trying to chase this group, but they do have more speed on her because they're working together. Let's see what happens on this hill here.
Here's the interesting thing. If and they are at opposite ends of the room for all intents and purposes. They cannot communicate. There is no Discord. There is no team speak for these riders in this case. Although in a lot of the virtual racing, it is like being on the team car. They are communicating the whole time, saying a little more, a little more. Okay, I'm going to attack here on this part. But the Velocity Vixens, and you see right there as we look behind Carrie and what her cockpit looks like there set up in that space. Carrie and her teammate Inga are preparing to go on this climb for the last time. Now, there's still a lot of racing left, but I tell you, if you are the rider eliminated from this group and it becomes a group of 3, there's very little you can do to catch on. It looks like Esther decides she wants to push the pace a little bit. Look at those watts in the upper right-hand corner of her screen, left-hand corner of her screen. She's starting to kick it. But you see the other riders on this course right now, there are some huge gaps. The time for Katie to make this up is on the climb. Can she do more than them? But I think that there are fireworks on the climb itself. Very interesting.
6.0.
Inga comes to the front, Esther to the front, Allison to the front, just trading off back and forth, back and forth. Okay, here we are settled into the race again itself.
I thought they were going to take it easy for a moment there. I saw some heart rates come down. I saw some the watts didn't come down that much, but there was a couple. But now we're like 188.
That's right.
Look at her. She's 3. That is, she's saying no. And then Allison, Dr. Kubota, just cool as a cucumber right there.
Oh my goodness, methodical.
She is calculating. She's doing. She is just focused in there. And you know, and today, if you know these are going to be your competitors tomorrow, right? What are you doing in these last minutes of the race to learn a little bit in this head-to-head? Because these racers may not have raced each other in Zwift World. So what are we learning from each other here in this last lap here?
Well, I think the teammates have the stronger advantage here because they can always converse and compare what they saw. You know, what does Allison like to do? What is Esther's response when this type of thing happens? What are their tendencies? Because I'll tell you, there's not a lot of strategy that can be thrown into a body that's doing, as Esther is, 190 beats per minute. My goodness, if you have never done this kind of bike sport, 190 beats per minute is an unreal high heart rate. It is very difficult, and I won't quote Csikszentmihalyi flow theory on you right now. That'll be in the next lecture.
Thank you. Okay, I'll be tuning in.
But let's just say that skill and cognitive, pieces are not going to function as well when your heart rate is that high. She is just operating on instinct right now. But if you can glean and discuss the instincts that these riders have, you can manipulate those. If you know that Esther tries to close the gap because she's not comfortable that everyone else will do it. Oh, you see all the sponsors right there on those great rider cockpit and stations. But you can manipulate those things, right? You can if she jumps off the front, when this happens, you can force her to do that. You can make her spend a little bit more. But in the end, if it's Batman versus Superman in a situation like this, I'm sorry, Batman, you're just a dude with cool tools. You're not going to beat Superman, who is immortal, essentially. So, again, drifts off the front a little bit, but we look at those watts, 210. I think that the attack is going to come in a different place on this. They may be content to just be where they are. They may want to be top 3. But I don't think they're going to try to break anybody off the back of this. When you look around and you see this group, again, follow the super reference here. But if you look at these collections of superheroes in the group, as we see Katie coming over the top here, that gap is going to grow for her because they are now going fast. She is not in the position where she can go fast yet, so that gap is going to grow. But she's still doing great work. That triathlete kind of mentality is I've got to finish this as fast as I can. Carrie grabs another sip of water. She did drift to the front again. But as they look around this group of super friends right here, they know that there's no one that is dramatically stronger than any of the others. And because of that, they maybe have to just be smart about when they use.
Yeah, and at this point, they are together. They've got a minute on Katie, and then they've got another, I think, a minute and a half on the group behind them. And I think that these are our top 4. What positions they'll be, what flags they show, what cards they play. Yep. I think will kind of show us at the end, and who's going to reveal what.
Yeah.
Because these guys, if the placement finishes this way, now it something could happen, right?
Yeah.
But if Katie really busts a move, maybe she can kind of close that down. But these guys, right to the end, what are they going to show us?
I want to point out something that drifted up in the chat not that long ago, which is fabulous. Fats Domino, who is one of our Mixer watchers here, makes the point that this is a real e-sport, and he capitalized sport in that, and it's absolutely true. So Cyclogent and Zwift and all of the folks involved here, right, Sarah, Cyclops, Power Tap, are allowing real athletes to compete in virtual spaces, in game spaces, no less. And that gives them the ability to compete from all over the world together. As the qualifiers we talked about here, CVR World Cup League, which anyone can join, they were from 8 different zones all over the world. And so they were racing with each other from the comfort of their the comfort of their homes,
the comfort of their own pain cave. And I think that's what's really interesting here is that when you're riding in Zwift and you see all those flags, you know that it's global. Yeah. And when you all come together in the league, right, and then you're racing at all those different time zones around the globe and against real people.
Yeah.
And then add the training component, which I know that Carrie, not only winning her bracket, but she also went through the training program. Yep. And these people who came to the training camp, who won the chance to come to the training camp, there she is. Look at that smile.
That smile on her face is the satisfaction that she knows that she's going to qualify. All 4 of these riders will qualify for Elite, and that was an incredible weight on her shoulders coming into this event. As we mentioned before, she missed the big move in Paris and was unable to, as powerful as she is, she was unable to close that gap with 4 or 5 strong riders in front of her, and she did not qualify for the Elite Championships the next day. She will definitely qualify for the Women's Elite tomorrow, unless, barring some mechanical or physiological disaster, which she won't have, she's going to qualify for this, and all 4 of these riders are, in fact, going to be able to do that, which is amazing.
And 3 out of these 4 riders. Now, Esther was an invite. She came from the Paris event as well. But the 3 riders outside of Esther, they are all very experienced Zwift racers. And, I think that we're going to see that throughout the heats today, how that experience might play into the role. So it's not just the training, it's not just the league, it's your experience racing and knowing what it feels like to be on the course. But
hey, if you're chiming in online, tell us who you think is going to win. You've got Allison, you've got Esther, you've got Carrie. You've also got Inga here. Of these 4 riders, who's going to cross the line first? That's what we want to know. Right now, there's a lot of support for Esther, but I don't know that is how the whole community feels. You've definitely got a plucky underdog in Carrie, who would like to remind everybody that she belongs here, right? Not just as the 4th person to cross the line, but maybe she wants to say, by the way, I'm a real contender here. Because that kind of psychological advantage going into the second day can be a real advantage moving into it.
That's right. Well, the mental is the physical when it comes to this, right?
Right.
and you have to come in. You know, Carrie did have something that she wanted to prove today. She had to have that mental toughness and that strength, and we see that mental toughness on Allison's face. We just saw her face. She's just been focused the whole time, and she's almost got that smile. It's almost like she almost gets like a little smirk. Like so I kind of think she might be gearing up for a sprint right now. Her heart rate's kind of in that tempo zone.
Yeah.
You know, she's sitting pretty comfortable, and everybody has sort of settled back down, and
heart rates are dropping.
Yep, and from a training perspective, right? You train that in, right? You train those blasts, those bursts, and how many times you can do that. We'll check in with Hunter at some point to talk a little bit about that training, and you can get trained by Hunter.
Yes.
Like everyday average people. I was thinking about that today. Like he was helping me with my bike, and I'm like, Hunter is like adjusting. You know, and this is the coaching that you're getting.
He's a pro coach,
you know,
super pro coach.
So you with the league, with the training, making CVR World Cup racing available and accessible to everybody.
Right. And we'll jump in with him in just a minute. What we want to see first is the big finish there. And
we can go back to the
right, and we'll have him jump in and communicate with that. There is a pretty big spread as we look. We'll keep it right here.
We'll keep it right here with Carrie.
We're coming into the end here. We've got about a minute to go. In fact, we are definitely going to want to. In just a minute, they're going to hit this little punchy climb. They're going to come across the bridge right here. In fact, they're on the JW Bridge, Julian Washington Bridge. They're coming across that, and they're about to hit this punchy climb where Allison has thrown some things before. Now, again, as they turn this left corner here, the JW Bridge comes into view, and you can see just off in the distance this sloping hill. It's not too much. I often call it the puncher. It is like an angry high school girlfriend ready to let you have it. There's no relenting from it. Now, what's going to happen is when they hit this, we're going to see very quickly on the right side of the screen, numbers turn to orange. That tells you that somebody is working pretty dang hard. And you can tell exactly who it is. Now, this is where Allison has done her thing before. The Watson, she gets out of her saddle.
Yeah,
of course she's going to do this.
Yeah.
Allison deciding she wants to just steal the lunch money right out of their pocket and just go away. Now, will anybody respond? It looks like a couple people are trying to. Maybe Esther is the one who's trying to catch on to the back of that. But again, there she is, pulling her back. Now, Allison doesn't do much more than just kind of put on the afterburner here, but she forces all of these other riders to do a little bit more work in a spot where they might not want to do a little more work. All of these riders will be able to catch her. They're not getting away. She's not doing so much more than they are. But if she can take just a little slice out of their comfort, she's going to be able to do that.
You know, that was a little psychological move because there's under just a little over a mile. We've got 2 kilometers to go.
Yep.
Sometimes we see the readout in kilometers, and sometimes we see it in miles. But this is the end here, and they gapped. You know,
yes, they did.
She just gapped, and so you can tell that the other riders said, that's okay. You go ahead and spend it.
Look at this. And Carrie backing it off just a little bit here. She's not trying to catch this group. She's not putting all into it. She's content with her position in this race. But Inga appears to be in a different spot, maybe trying to stay in this group and to catch on. Now, we see on the rider side, they're getting close enough proximity to one of the other riders on the course that she actually shows ahead of them. I have been in a position before where I'm so far behind that I'm ahead. And I appreciate
We've got
that.
Kubota in position 1. We've got Esther, and then we've got Connenberg, and then we've got
Carrie
Jansen.
sitting in that third position right now. They're, you know what? Team Velocity Vixen being really smart here. They've got another day of racing. Both of these riders have qualified. They are letting these two just kind of hammer it out here. One of these riders is going to win today. What do they win today? Our respect and love. There's no prize money. There are no prizes given for this today.
But you know, Chris, your respect and love, that's you know,
yeah.
like that.
Priceless,
That's what everyone
priceless.
comes. That's what we're looking for here.
Yep.
This is good. But you know, Allison has that smile on her face, so we're going to be keeping an eye on her, and you know, testing Esther for tomorrow.
Right.
You know what? All right, I'm going to be racing you tomorrow, sister.
That's
so what do we got? Here we go.
Okay, so exactly. So we've got Allison Kubota, the doctor, the PhD, testing the chemistry of Esther Meisels here. She's laying out the protocol. She definitely has her her pieces lined out. She knows what she wants to accomplish here. Now, what's going to happen here is we're going to come in about 300 meters to go. Things are going to get pretty hot and excited here. But Esther now sitting on the front, waiting for Allison to decide what she's going to do. Esther, likely the better sprinter in these two, but you know what? I don't know that they've ever been head-to-head.
No, I mean, the Watts are not, it's not happening yet. No one wants to lead the other one out.
No one wants to go. Oh, now we look at the cadence drop for Allison. She gets into a big gear. She starts to stomp. She wants something here. She does her spin up through it. Now Esther's going to have to respond very quickly. Already spinning very fast, but that gap is going to continue to grow. She's not going to be able to close that down. Such a cagey sprint here. Now who's going to top out?
Oh, here she comes. Esther says, I'm going to show you what I've got. It is, Esther says, not second. I'm going for first. Can Kubota catch her? Right to the line, and
there it is. She finds her finish right there. Wanted to prove Allison was not stronger today. Very cagey windup, which we'll have a chance to look at here again in just a little bit. Very exciting to see Esther come to the top here, and she's very happy to do it. You know who's also very happy? Inga Jansen, getting high fives from folks, zipping up that top so that she can give that salute as she comes across the line and show off her Team Velocity Vixen jersey here. The most represented team at this event. So many different folks here. In just a moment, we're going to jump down to our guy Hunter, who is going to just get a little bit of a reaction from this sweating, panting rider. So we'll take that moment if we can right now, and go to our guy Hunter. It doesn't look like he's got his mic in the face yet.
Not yet,
okay.
But that's okay.
Yep.
That's all right. You know, we're going to let
so
them cool
Katie
down
doing
a
a great job here, but not giving up. She's got to push all the way to the line. As we mentioned, 10 will advance to that race. Four of them based on their finish here, which we know who that's going to be, and 2 based on their fastest time. So this could be Katie. All right, so we're going to throw right now to Hunter, who is down there for some reaction from some sweaty, fabulous athletes. Hunter, take it away.
Hey, it's Hunter Allen down here on the floor, and I'm here with Esther Measles, the winner of Heat 1. How did you do, Esther? Tell me your strategy there at the end.
I saw we were 4, so my spot in the finals was pretty much guaranteed, but I always race to win. So when Allison went up the last hill, I just went with her, and she started her sprint a bit early, so I had more in me.
Wow, well, you look super comfortable there in the pack. Were you hurting at all anytime during the race?
I was. It was harder than I expected. Yeah.
Well, that was an outstanding sprint there, and I mean, great strategy. I mean, once you were in that group of 4, then it came down to that final little attack that she made, and you knew to go right with her.
Yeah, I wanted it to end in a sprint. I was hoping that would favor me, so I tried not doing too much work. It worked.
All right, congratulations back to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And she did amazing work in there. Very exciting to see what she is capable of. And I think that one of the, again, there's no prize money for today, but what you do get is a target on your back, right?
That's right, you do.
You
and
get
here
that
comes
target.
Catherine coming across the line, working hard. You can see in these graphs on the bottom of the screen that these riders never let up. Right, and again, this is coming from their Cyclops trainer.
Yep.
This power data that's driving them through the course, and you can see that's their heart rate relative to their work. They are working hard. So 7th place there for 48.
Yeah, and she didn't doing a nice job there. Again, she is going to qualify for the performance bracket tomorrow, and there is a lot of prize money in the performance bracket. Based on her performance here, she tends to finish pretty, I mean, she looks like she could finish pretty high there. She ended up having to ride quite a bit alone, but one of the things that she'll learn from this is the value of a group and why you got to stay with a group. The right time to close the gap and to stay with that group is now, even if you think they're stronger, because you can move much further, much faster in a group than you can alone. And in the end, despite the suffering it takes to get back into a group after you've been dropped, you absolutely have to do it because it's less work with a group. Even if they're going faster than you want to go, than it is by yourself.
Yeah, and I saw some of the riders put their head down a couple times, right? And
yes.
You're watching the interface. You're watching like these riders make the move. And when you put your head down, you are just digging in and you're looking for what ounce of strength you have to close that gap. So you are never ever stopping. And you know, it's one of those things that you don't know what you're made of until you're in one of these live events.
Right.
You know, and I think that's what's so fascinating to see, because we do see these names pop up on screen in our basements, in our garages, in our dining rooms. We're talking about, like, so many more dining rooms now get use for pain caves, right? Because who eats food in their dining room, right?
That's right. Exactly right.
So, you know, all of these pain caves that are happening and to attach the faces to the riders. Now, if you are watching on CycleView.CVR World Cup, you can select your favorite riders. You can cheer for them. There's a link there that you can cheer for them and contribute to the prize pool. And you know what? If you are liking the racing that you're seeing, she's coming around the corner, she's getting ready for her sprint, see her finish line here. If you like what you're seeing, you can actually join the league. The league is free. The league is open, and you can get involved in this action, the CVR league action that will lead up to another event in June. Okay, look at her. Red is coming to the line. Look at that intensity. She is at red numbers dropping, and she is like, I am coming hot for you. Look at her go. That is a face that says, I do not mess around. I had some left, and I'm going to leave it all here. What a finish there by England.
She did a really nice job there. England Red, who is one of the athletes who made the furthest, and that's got to be considered here. We knew that from athletes who came to the Paris event, that they had to be really careful about time change and fatigue, because if you don't give yourself enough time to acclimate, you don't necessarily have the same thing. Which is why that performance bracket will be so interesting tomorrow. Laura finishes here. She's a U.S. rider, but finding herself in a position where she'll have another day of rest, and I'm talking England Red here, that she may be acclimated more and may be able to get more of her great athletic ability out.
Well, and all of the riders that were in the camp, too, they did, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday, Hunter put them through the paces. Yeah, you know, I mean, they had some great outdoor rides, some training rides, coming here, earning their slot here to race. They will race in the performance category tomorrow. We've got Jessica York coming up that last through the S's. And, you know, I mean, so these riders have had so much such a week. You know, the ones that have traveled from overseas, done the training camp. And I'll tell you, I am really jealous about that training camp. And now I did do the training plan, and I apparently I didn't adhere to it.
you were not selected.
I was not selected. I mean, but everyone has a chance. Right?
They do.
So April 2nd, I believe.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Well, here's what's interesting. I just heard rumor that that Hunter is efforting, and just to be able to have a quick conversation with Allison. The question that is on my mind, and that I hope he asks Allison,
what's that?
Is that she did a little bit of a sprint there at the end, but what was she trying to do? Was that another data collection? Again, she's a PhD, right? I mean, this could be under her dissertation on ester meisels. What will she do under certain conditions? And she may have been testing it.
She's recording all of this data, like a scientist would.
Exactly. Is that a real attack, or was that something that that she just wanted to collect a little bit more data? I'll be very interested to hear what Hunter has to say in just a moment. And But this is what is really interesting. We've seen 4 really strong riders who I believe any single one of them could have won that race. Velocity Vixen definitely took their foot off the pedal, saving a little bit for tomorrow. That is strategy at its best. And we're going to go right now to Hunter Allen and Allison Kubota down there to find out just a little bit more about that big sprint finish.
Hey, Chris and Beth, I'm down here with Allison Kubota, and Allison had an amazing ride today. Tell us a little bit, Allison, how'd you do?
Oh, I came in second place after Esther Meisels. It was an amazing finish. We were down to 4, and after the last kicker, 2 of us shot off on a climb, me and Esther, and so it was just going to be a finish between her and me. So I waited for her to get in front of me. Then I tried to do start my sprint a little early. But Esther has an amazing sprint. She was doing 13, 14 watts per kilogram for, must have been 15 seconds. So I had no chance against her, but it was an amazing race.
Well, you look really good on the climbs. You look really good in the race. I mean, you look really comfortable there. I mean, how were you suffering? How was it feeling for you?
Well, once we got in a group of 4, we could really take it easy on the flats. So most other races with a lot of racers, everyone's pushing everywhere, including the flats. At least this race I was able to take it easy, lower my heart rate, and get ready to really hit the hills really hard.
So your strategy then really was to go hard on those hills and then try and hurt the other riders to soften them up?
That's exactly what the plan was.
All right. Well, that is great. Well, congratulations. What a great finish. What an awesome event. What a great effort. I know you're going to do well in the finals.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Chris and Beth.
Excellent. As we recap this, we had Esther Meisels in that first position, Allison Kubota in that second position, and Carrie Conabear in that third position today. That was pretty special. It was made my heart really happy to see that.
Yeah, and I know I could see a smile on Jansen's face, and while Hunter was talking with Allison, I could see the Vixen girls getting some snapshots and feeling happy with that the two of them making the top 4.
It'll be really interesting to see what they do tomorrow. They're strong enough to stay with those riders, and now can they maybe add one more teammate to that and see if they can't break that group up? That'll be really exciting to see.
That's right. So if you are watching and you do have a favorite rider, whether it's, we have another men's heat coming up, the first men's heat coming up, you can watch the entire race on cycleview.cvr World Cup. Now, watching that, you can see the telemetry, you can pick your riders, you can decide who you want to see. We might not be talking about them, but you're following them. You want to cheer them. Those riders, we're talking about that mental part, those riders can see those messages.
Yes,
and when you cheer for them, that...
Right. So you put in $1 or $5 or whatever to cheer for it. You can see it right down there on the screen. What'll end up happening is their screen right here lights up. Your message, your cheer, your confidence in their ability, or it just shows up on their screen, and you can actually influence the race with your cheers. And of course, that dollar or that $5 that you put in goes to. Half of it goes directly to the rider as part of their prize money. The other half goes to the winner. So, if you're cheering on someone like Carrie Conabear, you could get all of it, right? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there was a lot of cheers coming on the screen. And
it was awesome.
One of the other things, too, that you can have fun playing along at home is Cycle Fantasy.
Yes.
So just like fantasy sports that we have, you were like, this is something where you can put together your own roster.
Your dream team. Where do you think people are going to finish? This is not gambling per se. This is fantasy cycling.
This is fantasy cycling. So, where you can kind of see how your picks stack up.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Do
you know these riders better than we do? You might.
Some people might.
There
are people who take me to school sometimes. So, and I'm always open ears, willing to learn. So, and we'd also, like to say we have some really great sponsors that have. So we haven't really mentioned Helen's cycles yet.
But it provided all of these cycles. Now, when you fly riders from all over the world, actually getting their equipment here is the hardest part. Getting them through. Just imagine trying to take an entire bicycle from the UK to the US to ride here.
Yeah. No, and having a great local bike shop.
Yeah, you gotta have a bike shop.
You have your local bike shop at home, but having a bike shop here to set you up. And then, of course, all of those bikes go to the trainers, the smart trainers, CycleOps trainers. And so Saris has stepped up with their PowerTap pedals as well as their CycleOps trainers. And of course, that's how they ride through the game. That's how they ride through the game. They've been calibrated. We've had a level playing field. And then, of course, we have to get a good close-up shot of our green winner's jersey. So now this is from Garneau. Now, they actually, all of the bracket winners, the Zone A, each zone bracket A is taking home one of these babies today. So this is yours to keep. You have won it. So this is, we really like to thank, this is so nice.
Garneau, good stuff.
I don't know, maybe you should just take this. I think it might be your size.
I'm pretty sure it is not my size. You do not want to see me in that.
But beautiful.
It'll break the internet.
Beautiful. And there's other league stuff too. Like throughout the season, we've given socks and T-shirts, and so it's been a lot of
lots of great swag.
Lots of great swag.
Okay, well, so we saw an amazing race, but this is race 1 of 8 races that are going to happen over the next 2 days. The men's race is coming up in just a short amount of time, and we're really excited to be able to bring you that. But I think that what we saw here today is that those with a little bit of experience in this, those with a little bit of organization, the Kubotas, the Jansens, the Conabears, and of course the winner today, Esther Meisels. know how to race these races. They know how to compete, and they are going to bring some really incredible stuff. You saw, Internet, the work that they were doing.
That's right.
The sweat that they were doing. We're in the same space with them right here in Los Angeles at the StubHub Center. This is the Velodrome in the whole Super StubHub complex here. And you can come down, stand next to these riders, and enjoy this racing firsthand. Or you can simply tune in. And always, if you're on one of the great tools like Mixer, host it. Let your friends see what ridiculous, cool video game / real world thing is happening here, because it's pretty exciting. Now, in the men's race coming up, I'm not kidding. If you're
going to be such a good race.
If you're going to miss one, don't miss this one.
Yeah, don't miss any of them, but I know what you're
really,
saying.
This is the one.
There's some league stuff that we'll talk about in that race that's sort of like there were battles every single week.
Yep.
So people weren't taking weeks off. The best 6 of 8 counted, but people were racing all 8.
Oh, yeah.
They needed the points. They're like, I can't afford to not race.
No,
so.
there's some great folks here, and so we'll just bid a temporary adieu. We'll take a short break, and we'll come back here in. You'll see the exact times here in just a moment. But on behalf of everybody, the crew, the racers, our guy Hunter Allen, with the willingness to always stick a mic in anyone's face. You should have seen him at Del Taco last night. The guy was like,
he got an exclusive with the taco
exactly.
maker. But at 12:10 is the next broadcast time for when we will
Eastern or Pacific
time.
Pacific
That's
time,
right.
12:10. But on behalf of all of those folks and this lady, Beth York, myself, Dr. Chris Haskell, we'll see you for this cycling esport here in just a little bit. Thanks for joining us.
We're on a journey and we're going by bike. Bicycles set people free. It starts as kids when bikes set us free to explore the edges of our neighborhood. It continues into adulthood when weekend rides set our minds free from work and worry. It's the reason why still today bikes are at the heart of everything we do. Through our products, we propel bike lovers forward, be it in pursuit of personal enjoyment or peak performance. Through our business approach, we strengthen our community in Madison, Wisconsin, where we design and build the vast majority of our American-made products. Through our advocacy, we promote healthier, happier, bike-smart communities, both locally and nationally. We set out on this journey the day Sarah and Chris combined names to form Saris. So grab a bike and join us.
What is it about riding a bike that is so liberating? What unites us all is the craving for that special feeling. This is what inspired the developers at Garneau to create the innovative, award-winning X-Comfort technology, optimizing comfort to maximize performance and, most of all, the good feelings that make us so passionate about riding. The brand new X-Comfort Zone incorporates an elasticized zone that expands up to 5 millimeters to accommodate B through D+ foot widths. We all pedal in the same way. As you push down, your toes naturally splay. And the dynamic changes that happen inside your shoe as your feet contract and expand under pressure as you ride. The pressure and friction created as the outside of your foot expands over and over against your shoe can create serious and painful hot spots and irritations. The longer you ride, the worse it can become. This makes for a level of never-before-experienced comfort in the highest performing cycling footwear. Every cyclist rides for that special feeling that cycling brings to us. Each one of us has our own version of what it means to enjoy the ride. We just help make it possible.